Hello, and welcome to another episode of my prediction series. I'll be discussing in this episode the May 24th Republican primary being held, and I will make my prediction as to who will win. So at this point, the prediction still stands. Donald Trump is the presumptive nominee. He still has not garnered enough delegates to become the actual nominee on the first vote at the convention, but he is on his way. He's almost there. And I think this win will further cement his definite statement that he is the presumptive nominee. It'll definitely continually strengthen that claim and that argument. So in this episode, I'll also be talking about the three other candidates who show up on the ballot, although all three have withdrawn from the race. Ben Carson, Ted Cruz, and Kasich have both all suspended their campaign at this point. I'll still make a prediction, see how the vote will break down for each of them. So I think that in Washington, Kasich will likely get second, Ted Cruz likely third, Ben Carson likely fourth. And had they been campaigning and spending money and time in Washington State, I think it probably would have gone that way as well. As my prediction is Kasich likely would have gotten second, Ted Cruz third, Carson fourth, and Donald Trump the winner. So the reason I think that Donald Trump would win in the state of Washington is that it's a huge state, and it has a sort of east-west divide for how the political demographics in the state of Washington work out. Over the mountains on the eastern side is a lot of rural areas. You've got some major cities, but the biggest one out there is the city of Spokane. And it's a really fascinating state in terms of how the voter demographic and distribution works out geographically, because a whole lot of the Democratic support in the state is actually on the western side of the state, in the sort of the Puget Sound area, Seattle, Olympia, Tacoma, Everett, that sort of general area, the I-5 corridor. And the eastern side of Washington is definitely much more rural and tends to vote more Republican overall. Anyways, so that's where I think, obviously, the bulk of Trump's support will come from, in the eastern side of Washington. But either way, I think that Trump's going to win in the state of Washington. The reason I mention the other candidates is that, again, the apportionment of delegates is proportional for this first at-large primary for the entire state, and so it's worth mentioning the other candidates. However, the vote turns out, because their name's still on the ballot. Anyways, I know that at this point it seems pretty much a given that Donald Trump is going to be the presumptive nominee, and I agree. The likelihood that Trump isn't the nominee is very, very low at this point. I don't think any of the other candidates will make their campaign active again and do a last-second hurrah across the 5 states remaining after Washington on June 7th to see if they can stop Trump from getting enough delegates to be the nominee. They would have to stop him in New Jersey or California. I don't see that happening. But yeah, so this episode's about the state of Washington's primary, the Republican primary, and my prediction is Donald Trump wins. And I'm 99.99% certain that Donald Trump will win the Washington state Republican primary on the 24th of May. Demographics work in his favor. He's the only major candidate with an active campaign. He's the presumptive nominee. Odds definitely in his favor. The reason I keep making these prediction videos is that it's still a prediction. As easy as the prediction is to make, it's still a prediction, and it's only fair that I started covering the primaries way back in February. I started chatting about my predictions, and I think I'll keep going till the end of the primary season. Then I'll talk about the general election, and I'll discuss in a state-by-state video some of what's going on in those states, I think, and who I think will win between the two major party candidates, or if a third party will gain any decent amount of votes in any of the states. At least that's my plan. I'm thinking about it. I'm debating how much time that will take, but right now, yeah, that sounds like something fun to do. Anyways, yeah, I think Donald Trump will win the Washington state primary, be the presumptive nominee for the Republican Party, and it's going to be a pretty interesting election in the general election. That's what it's looking like. All right, thank you so much for watching.